Ever wondered how a town plans its future, not just letting things happen, but intentionally building a smarter, more vibrant community? Imagine a place on the cusp of truly significant intentional change, a town not just growing, but growing smart. That's what we're digging into today on a deep dive. We're taking a deep dive into Zebulon, North Carolina, and its comprehensive blueprint for the future, the Comprehensive Land Use Plan, or CLUP as they call it. This deep dive is custom tailored for you, drawing directly from the detailed CLUP document itself, alongside crucial insights we got from extensive community engagement activities. Our mission, basically to give you a shortcut to being well informed. We're extracting the most important nuggets of knowledge about how this vibrant community plans to manage projected growth, enhance quality of life, and strengthen its economic well being. And all while preserving its unique character. We'll uncover some surprising facts, hopefully, and equip you with a thorough understanding, without the information overload. So let's unpack this. Why does a town like Zebulon, which is, it's already experiencing rapid growth, why does it need such an extensive, comprehensive plan? And what exactly does a document like the CLUP do?
Yeah, that's the fundamental question, right? At its core, a comprehensive land use plan, this CLUP, it's designed to guide future development, redevelopment, and community enhancement efforts. And it's looking ahead, specifically for the next 20 years, so through 2040-41. Think of it as a kind of living framework for community discussion. It addresses current challenges, but also proactively shapes future opportunities. The overarching goal, it's really to accommodate that projected growth and revitalization in a way that truly preserves the town's history, its culture, and, the overall quality of life for everyone, current residents and future ones too.
So it's far more than just like drawing lines on a map, then. It sounds much deeper.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, much deeper. It's essentially Zebulon saying, okay, here's what we intend to build and where.
Hmm.
And that clarity, that statement on physical development and the infrastructure investment that goes with it, it creates a remarkable level of predictability for everyone involved. You've got residents, landowners, developers, potential investors. They all benefit from knowing what to expect. And crucially, it doesn't just look at, isolated parcels of land. It considers the entire geographic area and its regional context. It assesses both near and longer-term needs across all these interrelated topics like land use, transportation, economic development, housing, parks, utilities. It's all connected. And it's designed to be flexible, a living document, as they say.
Yeah,
So it can be amended over time to address changing circumstances. It's not set in stone forever.
that makes perfect sense. Yeah. It sounds like a powerful way for Zebulon to really take control of its destiny, to actively shape its future instead of just reacting to changes as they
Yeah.
happen.
That's precisely the power of planning. You nailed it.
Yeah.
It empowers Zebulon to control its future rather than passively reacting to growth, which can feel chaotic. Without a plan like this, development often just happens on a case-by-case basis, right? Without really considering the community-wide issues, the CLUP development process actually involved major community discussions about Zebulon's priorities, its capacity to provide necessary public services and facilities. These discussions led to some really pivotal decisions about what's best for the community and how everything from, say, taxes to the overall quality of life will be affected. It forces those important conversations.
And it's fascinating that this isn't just, a good idea for them. It's actually required by North Carolina law. Does this legal mandate, does it empower Zebulon in its growth decisions? Or maybe present unique challenges compared to towns without such a clear directive?
That's a great question. So the North Carolina general statutes actually state that while adopted plans are advisory in nature without independent regulatory effect, that's the official language they must be considered by the planning board and the governing board when they're evaluating proposed zoning amendments. And in fact, state law, section 160D 701, explicitly requires that zoning regulations shall be made in accordance with a comprehensive plan. So think of it this way. The state isn't just suggesting towns plan smart. They're making it a critical foundation, especially when it comes to things like zoning.
Oh.
This provides a strong legal backbone, ensuring growth isn't haphazard, but always aligned with a larger community-approved vision. So yes, it definitely empowers them by giving them a clear, legally recognized direction. And that, in turn, provides more certainty for development.
What's particularly impressive about this plan, I think, is that so much of the community input happened during such a difficult time for engagement. You mentioned 2020. How does Zebulon manage to get so much input, given the COVID-19 challenges back then? That really speaks to their commitment, doesn't it?
It truly does.
Yeah.
Despite the immense challenges of 2020, community and leadership input remained absolutely central. They held an initial town hall meeting way back in March 2020, just as the pandemic was really beginning to reshape everything.
Wow, timing.
Yeah, tough timing. Then, after about a 6-month hiatus, they creatively adapted. They conducted this blitz of 12 socially distanced small group sessions over a week in late September 2020. They mostly used an outdoor space downtown, which was smart.
Smart.
And this proactive approach engaged 45 residents, business owners, partner agency reps, along with town board and planning board members. They even formed an ad hoc sounding board, a small, dedicated group of residents and business people who provided ongoing input through 4 work sessions that stretched all the way from March 2020 to April 2021. So that commitment, adapting to that really difficult period, it just highlights how central the community's voice was. And the entire process culminated in a joint public hearing before the town board and planning board in May 2021, which then led to the plan's adoption in June 2021. So it was quite the journey. And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how the plan takes that foundational why of planning and translates it into Zebulon's concrete aspirations for the future, a vision that's really deeply rooted in what its residents truly envision for their community.
So what's that guiding North Star then, that core identity for Zebulon that all this planning revolves around?
The town's strategic plan lays out a pretty clear direction. Their vision is succinct and powerful. Zebulon is a vibrant, growing community that maintains its small-town charm and heritage. And their mission backs that up. Zebulon is committed to enhancing the quality of life of our residents by delivering excellent, friendly services and fostering collaboration within our community. So it's really about growing, but never at the expense of who they fundamentally are.
Those are compelling aspirations. How do they break that down into more sort of actionable principles for building out that vision?
Yeah, good question. They've identified 6 guiding principles that really capture Zebulon's shared values for the future. Almost like a set of promises to their residents, you can say. First, Zebulon will be connected. And this isn't just about roads, right?
Oh, right.
It means connected internally through transportation improvements, greenways, pedestrian plans, but also seamlessly connected to the broader Wake County and the Raleigh metro area. And it's about fostering human connections, too, through a vibrant downtown, appealing parks and trails, events at Five County Stadium, all bolstered by investments in technology and fiber.
Okay, so physical, social, and digital connections. Got it. What's the next principle?
Second, and this is a really crucial one, Zebulon will be authentic. The town is absolutely determined to maintain a unique authenticity that truly sets it apart from surrounding communities. They don't want to be generic. Third, Zebulon will be balanced. This means striving to be a complete community. Great neighborhoods, diverse living options, attractive to both major employers and small businesses. It includes ensuring residents have easy access to parks, nature, public services, achieving a balanced tax base between residential and non-residential development, and promoting a balanced lifestyle with leisure and cultural offerings. The goal is really to be a life cycle community where people of all ages can thrive and, importantly, stay.
Balance is definitely key for sustainable, healthy growth.
Yeah,
And then there's prudence, which sounds like smart financial planning.
exactly. Fourth, Zebulon will be prudent. This means leaders will carefully weigh the costs and benefits of financial commitments. They'll seek to leverage local resources through external funding and partnerships, and they want to ensure future generations share in the cost of major investments. It emphasizes safeguarding past investments in infrastructure and public facilities through forward thinking and, trying to avoid unnecessary risks. Fifth, Zebulon will be collaborative. The town really continues to value and foster partnerships with public agencies, neighboring towns, private entities, nonprofits, to achieve outcomes that might otherwise be impossible or just less efficient if they tried to go it alone. And success here also truly depends on having an engaged and civic-minded population. Collaboration is key.
And finally, a really big one, especially in today's world, is resilience. How do they define that?
Absolutely. Sixth, Zebulon will be resilient. This means leaders anticipate uncertainty and plan for effective responses to unexpected circumstances, think natural disasters, or even global pandemics like we just discussed.
Yeah.
A resilient community, in their view, has a diverse local economy to attract investment and jobs, something that can withstand recessions. It has a housing market that enables longtime residents to stay comfortably and affordably. And at its heart, it relies on hearty, giving people who are welcoming to newcomers. That human element is crucial for resilience.
It's one thing to have these, grand principles laid out, but it's another entirely to hear directly from the people who actually live there. What did Zebulon residents say during the planning process? What were their hopes, their concerns? maybe even some anxieties.
Yeah, the community input was incredibly insightful, really grounded the whole thing. On growth, for instance, many expressed being, I'm quoting loosely here, fine with the growth, but it needs to be smart, managed growth based on a vision versus growing too fast and unplanned.
Oh.
They wanted the town to, quote, make our own decisions, have the town say what it wants to be. And there was this feeling that Zebulon still have enough land to create a special community, not just throw up houses.
Hmm.
So that desire for controlled, thoughtful growth, rather than just raw expansion, really came through loud and clear.
That strong desire for controlled growth. Yeah, that's the consistent theme we hear in growing communities everywhere, isn't it? How about their sense of place, their identity?
Oh, residents deeply value Zebulon's distinct feel. They repeatedly said things like, it was the last small town feel in Wake County, not overbuilt like Cary and Apex.
Right.
Many specifically stated they moved here for small town feels like home. So the clear goal is to, again quoting, maintain small town identity, charm, and character amid growth, not become another Cary. People specifically noted, we have authenticity here. It's been lost in surrounding communities. And the downtown area was even described as a Norman Rockwell-type downtown, almost like Mayberry.
Wow.
That really paints a vivid picture of what they cherish and want to protect. Right?
It certainly does. That's powerful imagery. And what about amenities? Do they see Zebulon becoming more of a destination? What kind of things do they want to see more of?
Yeah, there's a clear desire to, quote, become more of a destination, but don't lose the charm. Bigger is not always better. Offer an experience.
Yeah.
Residents want to sustain a successful downtown as a place to congregate and socialize, especially with the suburbanizing north side. There's real excitement. Someone said, the potential here in downtown Zebulon, unlike anything outside of Raleigh, high praise.
That is high praise.
Yeah. The community wants more amenities in general, restaurants, grocery stores, shopping, arts, cultural, etc., and more variety. The hope is for Zebulon to be a lifestyle versus a bedroom community, and also practically, so residents spend less time and less money out of town. They want to live, work, and play right there in Zebulon.
Keep those dollars local, foster a full life. Makes sense. What were their thoughts on housing and how it should evolve?
A key point that came up was the need for decent new workforce housing that is being lost in so many other places in the region. That attainability issue. They also call for greater housing variety types, styles, design, price points, not just one kind of house. And something interesting that emerged. Some residents specifically wanted to avoid homeowner associations,
Wow.
HOAs, need not be Cary.
Huh. Yeah.
Which again speaks to that desire for authenticity and maybe less cookie-cutter development.
Right. And finally, demographics and infrastructure always major pressure points in rapidly growing areas. What did the residents say about those?
Yeah, they touched on that too. Residents noted a cultural shift with newcomers, saying things like a lot of new people moving here, often with out-of-state license plates. And that feeling of still a small town, but don't know everyone anymore, which hints at that challenge, right? Integrating new populations while maintaining community cohesion. Concerns were also definitely raised about aging infrastructure and adequate funds for repairs, and the challenge of catching up with and getting ahead of growth given the financial constraints. It's clear they recognize the practical demands that come with growth.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. We've heard the vision, the community's desires, but how does all this feedback actually translate into concrete steps and a literal map for Zebulon's future growth and physical form? Let's start with the hard numbers. Population projections.
Right, the numbers. The Comprehensive Land Use Plan projects Zebulon's 2040 population to fall somewhere within a range of 10,687 to 14,270 persons. The plan's sort of midpoint projection for 2040 is 12,478 residents. Now, that represents a really substantial increase, 6,561 residents from the estimated 2020 population, which is just under 6,000 at 5,917.
Yeah, that's more than doubling the population in 20 years. What does that mean for housing needs alone? That sounds huge.
It is huge. To accommodate this projected growth, Zebulon would need approximately 2,194 new housing units by 2040. That's based on the current estimate of about 2.99 persons per household. And just to give you a tangible sense of this scale, consider the Braemar subdivision. It's in West Zebulon, an existing neighborhood, about 164 single-family homes.
Okay.
To house all those additional residents, Zebulon would need 13 to 14 more subdivisions equivalent in size to Braemar by 2040.
13 or 14, wow.
Yeah, but what's insightful here is that the plan really notes that incorporating a mix of housing types like townhomes, multifamily projects is a crucial strategy. It helps reduce the overall land consumption and allows for more efficient, community-oriented development rather than just sprawling outwards endlessly.
That really brings the scale into sharp focus.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond just building more houses, how will Zebulon ensure it can actually support all this future growth, with the necessary infrastructure, services?
Great question. Zebulon is committed to balancing investment in new public infrastructure, think roads, utilities to support that first-time development, with the necessary rehabilitation of aging infrastructure in the established areas. It's a two-pronged approach. This means a steady, yearly program of capital improvements. For public safety, the plan calls for phased increases in Zebulon Police Department staffing. They're aiming for a full, community-oriented policing approach, really shifting from just reactive to more preventative policing. It also supports the Zebulon Fire Department in maintaining or even improving its impressive Insurance Services Organization rating, the ISO rating. It's currently a 3, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is the best. So they're already doing well there.
That's great. And what about managing the physical expansion of the town itself, like annexations? How do they handle that?
They'll continue to require annexation as a condition for utility service. That's pretty standard. But these decisions will involve physical impact assessments to make sure they're financially responsible for the town. They don't want to overextend. The goal is sensible jurisdiction extensions, avoiding those inefficient donut holes in service delivery.
Right.
And to maximize efficiency, growth is first directed towards vacant parcels and underutilized lands within the existing town's limits, basically. Infill development before they look at extensive development in future growth areas beyond the current town limits. It's a very deliberate, inside-out approach to growth.
Does Zebulon's plan mesh with larger regional plans, like what Wake County is doing?
It absolutely does. Yeah, they made sure of that. Zebulon's CLUP syncs well with Wake County's Plan Wake. That's the countywide comprehensive plan. Both plans focus the intensive development and public infrastructure within Zebulon's walkable core. Then they accommodate the next increment of growth in the surrounding community area, and they preserve a more rural atmosphere in areas farther north and northwest, largely for watershed protection, especially looking ahead to the eventual Little River Reservoir, so it fits into the bigger picture. The plan also clearly identifies Zebulon's commitment to smart growth principles. For instance, instead of just endless sprawl, they're prioritizing things like compact building design and creating walkable neighborhoods, which essentially means aiming for more vibrant community spaces, less reliance on cars, while also preserving open space and farmland. That's a conscious choice.
So all this vision really does translate into how land is actually used and developed.
Yeah.
What are the key goals and policies that will literally, map out the community's character on the ground?
Right. This section of the plan establishes the necessary policy guidance for future development, redevelopment, and also the ongoing stewardship of areas intended to remain largely as they are. You have to protect what you value too. It's essential for serving public infrastructure needs efficiently and creating that desired community character everyone talked about. The key goals were really to allocate land uses that advance Zebulon's objectives for greater housing variety, support economic development and the town's tax-based needs, and create a complete community, convenient access to schools, recreation, services. It also aims for consistent character within specific areas and effective collaboration between land use planning and transportation planning. They have to work together.
And what are some of the core policies that will guide this transformation, like the real nuts and bolts?
Well, a big one is maintaining Zebulon's small-town feel and charm amidst growth. That's paramount. They want to accommodate diverse market preferences, everything from large lot country living on the edges to walkable mixed-use environments in the core. They'll work to ensure compatible intensities for non-residential development near existing homes. You don't want jarring transitions.
Right, buffering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Promote pedestrian and cyclist-friendly designs. Respect environmental assets like waterways and mature trees. Manage land used carefully near parks and green spaces. And, as we'll discuss more, plan for destination development around Five County Stadium to foster that cohesive entertainment and hospitality district.
That brings us to this community character framework you mentioned. What does that actually mean for land use planning, specifically in Zebulon? It sounds interesting.
It is really insightful, yeah. The CLUP introduces this character-based approach. It emphasizes the visible physical traits that define an area's look and feel. So it goes beyond just basic land use categories like residential or commercial. It focuses on the intensity and the design of development, things like density, scale, building form, how much land is covered by buildings versus open space. For example, their rural character areas are defined by wide open spaces, minimal structures, extensive open space ratios, really preserving that natural countryside feel.
Okay.
Then suburban character will have less intensive land use, with open and green spaces balancing or even exceeding the land covered by structures and paved surfaces. Think larger yards, generous landscaping.
And then moving into more urban settings, how does that look?
Right, so urban character areas will exhibit the greatest pedestrian orientation, they'll have a compact scale, and what planners call architectural enclosure.
Architectural enclosure.
Yeah, it just means buildings built close to or right up to the sidewalks.
Mm,
It creates that classic, vibrant, street-level feel that really encourages walking and activity.
gotcha. Like a traditional downtown.
Exactly. And then there's auto-urban character. This is primarily designed to accommodate car circulation and parking. You see high land coverage by buildings and paved surfaces, but it often lacks walkability. Think strip malls or big box centers sometimes. It's really important to understand, though, that while the future land use and character map designates areas into 15 specific categories based on these character types, this map provides general planning guidance for desired outcomes. It's distinct from the more specific zoning regulations, which are the day-to-day rules that direct development on individual properties. The map is the vision. Zoning is the implementation tool. And this all raises an important question, doesn't it? How will Zebulon ensure its growth truly benefits all residents and maintains that unique quality of life, especially focusing on where people live, where they work, and where they play?
Absolutely. Let's start with housing and neighborhoods. Zebulon is certainly experiencing a housing boom, we've established that. But how will the plan ensure both choice and quality for residents, not just quantity?
Right, quality is key. It's true. Zebulon is seeing a significant wave of new housing construction, single-family homes, townhouses, multifamily developments. It's definitely expanding both the quantity and the choices available. The goals here are, first, to provide a diverse range of housing options that are attainable for a wide range of age groups and income levels. That workforce housing piece is critical. They also want to ensure appealing choices for families who are drawn to Zebulon's jobs, its charm, its amenities, and, crucially, create neighborhoods that are safe, comfortable, and well-designed, while carefully preserving the integrity and value of the existing established areas. This gets back to that community desire to avoid becoming another Cary, with maybe endless HOAs or uniform looks.
So, what are the key policies guiding how new developments will actually integrate into the existing fabric of the town? How do they make that happen?
Well, key policies include applying development regulations carefully to ensure new and redeveloped residential properties are compatible with their surroundings. Again, avoiding those jarring transitions. They'll actively promote developments that mix housing types rather than isolating them in separate pods. They want to support options for aging in place, things like assisted living facilities. Encourage mixed-use developments where you have residential components supporting retail, maybe transit stops, local employment. Promote quality design, especially near greenways and parks. And continuously work to overcome any past negative perceptions about multifamily housing, showing it can be done well. Ultimately, the aim is to ensure all residential areas are interconnected through streets, sidewalks, off-street links, making the entire town feel more cohesive and walkable.
The plan emphasizes quality neighborhood design. What are the core elements that really make a place feel like home, based on Zebulon's vision for itself?
Yeah, they outline several core elements for sustainable, appealing neighborhoods. Think of having a focal point, maybe
Yeah.
a park, a school, a small commercial node that acts as a natural gathering spot.
Okay.
Then there's balanced pedestrian and vehicular circulation, definitely including sidewalks and off-street trails, making it easy and safe to get around without always needing a car. They're pushing for a variety of dwelling types within neighborhoods. Convenient access to schools, recreation, daily necessities. Effective street layouts that provide multiple paths for getting around, but also discourage high-speed cut-through traffic in residential areas.
Mm-hmm.
Appealing streetscapes, trees, lighting, design elements, compatibility between adjacent uses, and a clear yet welcoming neighborhood identity, often reinforced by having set aside open spaces within the neighborhood itself. It's really about creating that true sense of place.
Beyond housing, how is Zebulon fostering jobs and building a strong local economy? That's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Huge piece. Historically, Zebulon was known primarily as a jobs town, and maybe more centered around industrial employment. Now, with this rising full-time residential population, it's really transforming into a growing eastern Wake County hub for both employment and living. It's an integral part of that broader Raleigh Research Triangle metro economy now.
Right.
So the key goals are to diversify the tax base, attract and retain businesses, create local jobs, and of course enhance the local quality of life through economic activity. The town really embraces its role in facilitating private investment, often leading the way with strategic public investments to kind of prime the pump. It aims to maintain a regulatory framework that attracts target business sectors and needed revenue-generating uses, while also making sure to bring in those lifestyle and leisure options residents want. And there's a clear emphasis on diversifying the economic base, so they're not overly reliant on just one or two major businesses.
Yeah.
That makes them more resilient economically.
The plan gives a special focus to Five County Stadium and its vicinity. That's home to the Carolina Mudcats, right? What's the current situation there, and what's Zebulon's ambitious vision for that area? Sounds like a big project.
It is potentially a big transformation, yeah. The stadium is recognized as a major community asset, absolutely. But right now, it functions somewhat as an island, as the plan puts it. It lacks surrounding features to make it a true year-round destination beyond just the baseball games themselves.
Okay, isolated.
Kind of isolated, yeah.
Yeah.
But the vision is truly transformative. Develop the Five-County Stadium vicinity into a cohesive entertainment and hospitality district, something that's active even on non-game days. It aims to leverage existing strengths, like its good proximity to US 264, the limited competition from other stadiums in the immediate area, and significant vacant land both on and near the site. Plus, you've got the new Sydney Creek development bringing more full-time residents nearby, and there's the proposed greenway connecting it back to downtown Zebulon. So the potential is definitely there.
So it's about building out a whole experience around the stadium, not just the game itself, making it a place people want to go anytime.
Exactly that, yeah. Imagine new development creating a much more active site. The plan includes ideas like a multi-use facility, maybe for recreation, meeting spaces, potentially even indoor-outdoor aquatics down the road. There's talk of an adventure center. Think trampoline parks, mini golf, rock climbing, maybe even indoor skydiving, something fun.
Wow.
They envision a Main Street concept right there, lined with restaurants, cafes, bars, retail shops, with special paving, landscaping, prioritizing pedestrian movement. It could even host farmers markets or other outdoor events. They also plan for an amphitheater for outdoor concerts, a park setting with picnic tables, a playground, maybe a skate park, and to anchor it all, a new hotel situated strategically across the intersection, providing lodging for visitors, potentially with conference space, a restaurant, maybe even a rooftop deck.
Okay, that sounds comprehensive.
It is, and the emphasis is on prominent signage and gateway design, like enhancing the US 264 freeway overpass to really brand this as the stadium district. And crucially, it's designed with ample parking, yes, but also bicycle parking and clear pedestrian pathways and crosswalks. So once you arrive, you can easily and safely walk between all these different destinations. It becomes a walkable district.
That sounds like a really holistic approach to making the stadium area a true year-round destination. Very exciting. What about supporting, say, business startups and the creative economy? Is that part of the plan too?
Yes, definitely. Zebulon aims to support an entrepreneurial pipeline, as they call it. That means helping identify local growth markets, connecting entrepreneurs with business assistance resources, coordinating with educational institutions on entrepreneurial curricula. The plan also specifically explores developing or recruiting co-working spaces. That could take many forms: food halls, maker spaces, incubators, or just traditional shared offices. The idea is to support early-stage businesses, accommodate the growing number of remote workers, and also help revitalize downtown by bringing more synergistic daily activity there. It's about fostering innovation and local talent.
That makes a lot of sense. Finally, let's talk about enhancing quality of life through recreation and amenities. What's the vision for creating that lifestyle community residents were asking for?
Yeah, the goals here are pretty big. Create a true lifestyle community with a range of amenities and activities for all ages. They want to provide both quantity and quality of park sites and trails to meet resident expectations and promote wellness. There's a recognized need to develop an indoor recreation facility, partly to free up the existing community center for more specific uses. And there's a vision for an arts center, which is being spearheaded by the Zebulon Downtown Arts Council.
Okay.
The plan also emphasizes expanding local greenways and trails, including looking at a potential continuous connection right across town, from Little River all the way to Five County Stadium, and filling in those missing sidewalk links to make walking safer and easier. And always sustaining a revitalized and active downtown as the historic and cultural hub with varied gathering places.
What existing assets does Zebulon have to build on for these initiatives? What are they starting with?
They have a good foundation. Zebulon currently manages 6 public parks. The largest is Community Park, which is pretty big at 47.5 acres. Then there's Gill Street Parks, Little River Park, Wakeline Elementary School Park, Whitley Park, and Zebulon Elementary School Park. The community center is already a key asset for programming arts, fitness, travel programs, summer camps. And the Zebulon Farm Fresh Market runs downtown from spring to fall, which is a great community gathering point already, so they have things to build upon.
And what are the guiding policies for these recreation and amenity plans? What principles are they following?
Key policies include preserving and enhancing public green spaces, prioritizing public safety, especially thinking about pedestrian and bicycle access to parks, trails, and downtown, promoting an active, healthy community overall. The plan also aims for prudent water resource conservation and protection of water quality, especially within the Little River watershed, which is important regionally, and promoting environmentally resilient town operations. Finally, it seeks to balance those inevitable parking demands with maintaining a compact, walkable downtown, exploring creative strategies for handling peak parking needs during special events without just paving everything over.
Okay, so what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means Zebulon isn't just, dreaming about its future. It has a clear, actionable plan for making it happen. But how does a town actually track its progress on such an ambitious, multifaceted vision like this? It seems like a lot to manage.
It is a lot, and that's why the CLUP is designed explicitly to be a flexible, regularly revisited document. It allows for adjustments to changing conditions. It's not meant to sit on a shelf. But this requires strong leadership alignment among the town board, the planning board, town staff, making sure everyone is on the same page regarding priorities, responsibilities, and how they interpret the plan. Communication is key.
And how do they actually break down all that work into manageable pieces? Is there like a to-do list?
Pretty much. The CLUP concludes with a detailed 4-page action agenda table. It lays out 35 specific priority initiatives where the town and its public and private partners are going to focus their efforts. And what's truly insightful about these initiatives isn't just the number, but how they demonstrate Zebulon's commitment to being proactive rather than purely reactive about growth. It shows they're moving beyond just building houses to actively cultivating community spaces, economic resilience, right from day one. It really is a blueprint for comprehensive community building, not just development. And these initiatives are smartly categorized by their target time frame, so it's phased.
Can you give us some examples of those immediate priorities? Like, what are they tackling right away in year one?
Absolutely. For year one, they have 15 immediate priorities lined up. For example, they're reviewing and amending their Unified Development Ordinance, the UDO. And just for listeners, that's basically the town's comprehensive rule book for all development.
Ah, okay.
It covers everything from building heights to parking requirements. It's how the vision actually becomes reality on the ground, rule by rule.
Got it.
They're also completing the relocation of the downtown fire station to a more central strategic location, preparing for new development patterns driven by City of Raleigh infrastructure investments coming their way, maintaining an inventory of vacant parcels for potential infill housing. They're even formalizing a Welcome to the Town of Friendly People initiative for new residents and businesses, which is a nice touch.
That is nice.
Nurturing target business sectors like medical facilities and lodging. Exploring those shared workspaces we talked about, especially in downtown. Pursuing grant funding. These are just a few examples that show how much they're tackling right out of the gate. It's a busy first year.
That's incredibly ambitious for the first year alone. Wow. What about the near term, say the next few years, and then the later term priorities?
Right. So for years 2-4, the near term, there are 16 items. They're looking at things like growing planning department staffing to handle the implementation workload, completing a special, detailed area plan just for the 5-county stadium vicinity, pursuing police department accreditation, aiming for age-friendly certification for Zebulon, which is a great goal.
Yeah.
Partnering with major employers like GlaxoSmithKline to try and attract more workers to live locally. Hiring a first-time economic development director for the town. Implementing results from a branding initiative. Preparing a full economic development plan. Lots happening there too. Looking further out, years 5 and beyond, the later term currently has 4 items listed. Examples include hosting an annual neighborhood summit for outreach, considering incentives for upgrades to some of the older retail centers, planning potential strategic land acquisitions for future public parking downtown, and continuing to explore funding and logistics for creating that arts center or facility. And the actions are also classified by type capital investments, programs and initiatives, regulations and standards, partnerships, more study ensuring a really comprehensive approach across the board.
It's impressive how detailed and phased this plan is. It feels very real. So how will they track all this progress and ensure, continuous improvement and accountability to the residents?
Good question. Town staff will prepare annual progress reports for both the Planning Board and the Board of Commissioners. This ensures consistent review and helps identify any necessary modifications along the way. And crucially, ongoing community outreach and engagement are emphasized throughout. They plan to use specific performance measures and quantitative indicators, things like acres of new development approved or constructed that conform to the plan, maybe increased tax revenue from redeveloped sites, or even just the number of residents engaged in town-sponsored outreach events. These indicators will be compiled and communicated sort of in a report card fashion back to residents and stakeholders. So the goal is transparency and keeping the community involved and informed about how things are progressing.
Well, you've just taken a deep dive into Zebulon's comprehensive land use plan. We've heard about the careful thought, the extensive community input, and the really detailed strategies shaping its next 2 decades. From managing that explosive growth to preserving the small town charm, from revitalizing downtown to transforming Five County Stadium into a year-round destination, this plan is truly a roadmap for a resilient and vibrant future for Zebulon. So here's a thought to leave you with. As Zebulon actively cultivates its future, blending its tradition with some pretty ambitious growth, what role might you play in helping your community or any community achieve its long-term vision and maintain its unique spirit amidst the inevitable changes that come? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.